Let's go, let's go. It is the afternoon, and y'all know I always come down here and give y'all the henny on everything. I don't care who's down here trying to skip ahead of me and trying to get it out. Henny's going to give it to you raw, straight up, with no chaser. Y'all already know how this goes down. So, y'all come on, come on, come on in the room. And let's get it cracking. Let's get it popping. And let me give you this court update coming straight from the Diddy trial. Now, as y'all know that I am inside of the courtroom, and y'all know that I am taking in all the hot henny from beginning to the end. We are here for now. Anyway, so come on in, 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 because y'all are not going to believe what has happened today. Let me get my notebook out. I finally completed a whole notebook, and we are going to be going into two different notebooks because, baby, we finished it all the way up. All right, so let's get started. So they started off with Mia back on the stand under cross examination, and she is under cross with Brian Steele. Now, if you remember, I have been explaining to y'all about how Brian Steele was coming at her and basically re-victimizing her all over again on the stand. Baby, let's get into it, because today was no different, and Brian was basically back up to the same BS that he was on when we left off on Friday. So when I came into the courtroom, Brian Steele was going over Mia's resume and showing that on her resume, you know how we all put that fluff on there that we're a people person and we're self-motivated and all of that? Well, it looks like Mia put some of that fluff on her resume, and that it may have been something that he was using against her in this day of cross examination, okay? Because some of the things that he was trying to focus on was like, oh, well, you said that, you were easy to work under pressure. You had thick skin and you could work 24 hours a day. Well, guess what? A lot of people say a lot of things when they are on the line for a job, but they don't actually follow through with it. It's fluff. Okay. Now, as we went on, it was another day of grueling testimony going over her social media posts over and over and over again, where they were pulling things up and asking her, isn't it true that you said this? Read this caption. Why would you say that? This is all about getting into her social media and turning it against her. But they're not looking at the mental aspects of all of the stuff that is going on. I keep talking to y'all about that portion. And guess what, baby? That is something that ended up coming up today in court. And the judge was fed up with Brian Steele. So when we got to the portion where we were talking about messages and things that were being brought up, he was trying to say to her, like, you kept all of these videos, all of these memories of everything that transpired between the two of y'all over the years, that you didn't keep not one note of anything that transpired between the two of y'all when it came down to Cassie. Like, you had all the stuff that was going to be collaborated together for the Diddy documentary, or whatever the documentary was that they were doing, that is what, that is what she had footage to. So now, so let me get into my zone. Hold on, y'all. Let me get into my zone. 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 And truth be told, I don't even really need that book. All right. This courtroom has been divided, okay? The courtroom, overflow room has been divided. Now, I get it. You like people that are upstairs in the main courtroom, and that's cool. What you need to understand is when you're downstairs in the overflow room, what you are getting a vibe of is what the media, the people, the bloggers, the news people, who they are leaning towards, the testimony that's moving them the most. Yes, it counts for the jury, but you also have to look at what's being pumped out. As I told y'all before, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of hype, a lot of rumors. Everybody is not always reporting exactly what's going down in the courtroom. But today, the day has come for the way that a defense team goes at somebody who has been a victim of any type of abuse, whether it be hostile forced labor or it be domestic violence or it be sexual assault. Today is a day that I think that people need to look at the way that victims are handled on the stage, because on the stand, because Brian Steele, he was coming at me. And there were times when Brian Steele was raising his voice and repeating the question over and over. It was everything short of watching Law and Order and see him to go, isn't it true that on such and such and such, and you blah, 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 and you blah, 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 blah. It was short, just short of doing all of that. So Brian Steele, like I said, he continued on asking her about her social media. He continued on trying to badger her and pull her down because of the things that she has posted over the years. When it comes down to Diddy, she was sending Diddy messages, giving him positive motivational messages over the years, even after her being let go. All right. She was still sending messages, but she was sending these messages when Kim passed away, when Andre Harrell passed away. She was sending him messages of positive inspiration even back then. All right. So Brian Steele asked her to describe herself. And I felt like this was a very important moment because he was asking her to describe herself. And she was saying, things like fun and, I'm able to stay on task. And then he says, well, would you consider yourself a leader? And Mia takes a long pause, and she couldn't answer the question as to whether or not she felt that she was a leader. She felt like she was an encourager. He asked her if she felt like she spoke up for herself, and she said no. But she encouraged other people to speak up for themselves. He was trying to show that she signed up for the job at hand by going through her resume and pointing out the things that I was telling y'all about just a little while ago, where he was saying, like, you put on your resume that you can speak 4 languages, you can multitask under pressure, that you have thick skin, that you're comfortable in a 24/7 role. But Mia said that that's not what she meant by the 24/7 role. But this is where Brian Steele was trying to make it seem like, well, you signed up for the job, you knew that what you was getting into, and you said it right here on your resume. So you shouldn't even be complaining about this, and it shouldn't be looked at as forced labor, because I'm going to show you tonight when I get home in the transcript where the government actually says that Mia's testimony is about forced labor. Yes, this is why the violence is important. This is why the sexual assault is important. This is why how many hours she worked, how long she went without sleep, how she went underpaid. This is why all of that is important, because this is showing how it is forced labor. And what I need everybody to remember is, just because Diddy and Mia were not in a relationship together where they are boyfriend and girlfriend or man and wife or any of that, it was boss and employee, does not mean that DV does not have a place here, because it is all a cycle of abuse. Abuse is abuse is abuse is abuse, okay? And when you are put into an environment and you are groomed into feeling you have to defend this person, you have to protect their brand, you have to protect their name at all costs, you have to protect their secrets, you're going to see when we get to that portion, okay? What I've also noticed is the defense is steadily breaking the rules that have been set forth when it comes down to submitting exhibits. When they submit some exhibits, they're supposed to submit them by a specific time of night. They are not supposed to be walking into the court at 8:30 in the morning, submitting things and saying that they want to put them into record. They should not be coming after breaks and saying we want to put this into record. And definitely not after lunch saying we want to submit this into record. Well, guess what? This is the stuff that the defense has been pulling. They had a video that the government and the judge were discussing yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, on Friday. And we got to see the video today. You want to know what the video was? All the hoopla and the hype was about this video? It shows a Mia from 2013. She has one side of her hair, I don't know if it's shaved, but it's like one side flat, hair big on the other side. And she's speaking the same way that she messages. I was not oohed, awed, or blown away about what we saw. And after they showed this video, we went on a quick 10-minute break. And guess what? When we came back from break, the video was never explained. Go figure. Now, they also had some evidence that the defense had some evidence that they had added to the binder. And they added these things to the binder without them being properly tabbed, labeled, or even submitted correctly. So the jury was allowed, and I'm surprised that the judge allowed this to happen. He allowed them to get the binders and told them, do not look in the binder. Hold on one second. I have to stop what I'm doing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Poppington. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Pop. So let's get back to what they've been doing. All right. So they said to go ahead and pass the binders out to the jury and gave jury instructions to not look at anything that they were not told to. So if they tell you to go look at tab 36, don't go look at tab 73. But why would you even put that in there and give the curiosity as to seeing what is going on in that binder? Somebody might possibly flip the binder just to purposely see what they're not supposed to be seeing. This is an underhanded trick that I see being played, and I am very much surprised that the judge let this go in. Anyway, they opened up oh, as far as how his Diddy was sitting upright with his hands like this in his lap. Okay. He was leaning in a couple of times. He was paying attention. He was passing notes as well, mind y'all. All right. So she now Mia left from Diddy's Bad Boy, Revolt, all of that. She was no longer working with Bad Boy. She left in March of 2017, right? But they were talking about a text that she sent on Christmas on 2018, talking about a New Year's Eve post that she sent him in 2018. Another, not a post, a message, a text message that was sent on January 15th of 2019. And in these messages, she's saying things like, you know, wishing you a Merry Christmas, love you so much, Happy New Year's, love you so much. For the New Year's one, she said, just thinking of you today and every day. Had a nightmare that I was trapped in an elevator with R. Kelly and you came and saved me. Love you forever. And so Brian is saying, well, this is the man that actually assaulted you. What I need y'all to understand is this is no different than when a woman is with a man and he blacks her eye and she's in the kitchen the next night making his favorite meal. And she's posting him on her social media and she's singing his praises. We see this cycle happening over and over and over again. But somehow when we get into this trial, we don't notice that that's something that's going on. Now, was this a matter of she worked with him for so long that she became accustomed to him? You got to think about this. Mia has already testified to the fact that she spent every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with Diddy and the family, okay? Diddy and the family, which was the security guards, which was the other assistants, which was the other artists that were on Bad Boy. She was surrounded by the family. That was who she was with. So when that is all of a sudden gone, what are you going to do? If you spent every waking hour with people for that amount of time, from 2009 until 2017, that becomes your whole life. Your whole life. My wife was with an abusive man for 22 years. She still has nightmares 6 years later. Exactly, Robert. Exactly. Here comes the guy, y'all. I'm going to have to mute very soon. All right. So then they showed us the message from March 8th of 2019 that said, sending you all the love in the world. And so he was saying, hold on. Okay. So Brian Steele starts going in for the attack. He's like, this is the man that actually assaulted you. This is the man that psychologically, emotionally, he assaulted you on so many levels. And you're sending him all of your love. So she explained, I'm sending all of my love because he just lost Kim. So around this time, he had lost Kim. And Brian Steele was trying to make a point that even after all of that happened, that she was still text messaging him and she was sending him messages 5 months after Kim had passed. So Mia said to him, just because 5 months has passed doesn't mean that the grieving is over. And she felt bad for him because he lost somebody that he really cared about. She also was messaging him at times when Andre Harrell had passed. Just when he suffered great losses and she knew that these were great losses, she was there for him as she had always been when she was working in capacity of being his assistant. People seem to forget that. She did not just do this job and go home at night. She was there 24/7, living in his home, at his beck and call. Even when he was supposed to be on personal time, at any point in time, the BlackBerry could go off and she needed to answer it. And she needed to be front and center. And she had to deliver whatever it was that he was asking for. She had to keep whatever secrets, whatever dirt she saw him do, she had to keep those secrets to herself. She was not going to allow anyone to find out about the personal things that were going on with Diddy because she felt like it was going to break confidentiality. This is why she was not speaking on a lot of the things that Brian Steele was asking her why she didn't speak on it. Why didn't you tell anybody? Why didn't you tell your family? Why didn't you tell your friends? Why didn't you jot this down in notes? Why didn't you make an email? Why didn't you tell them when you were telling them things in HR that was going on that were violent towards you? Why didn't you mention your sexual assault? She said she was trying to protect him and keep his confidentiality. Now, when we get down to this suit, this settlement that she ended up getting, that settlement didn't come into play until 2017, okay? And this settlement was about payment for wages that she did not receive. She was told that she was going to be let go. She worked for an additional 6 months. And during that time, she was not being compensated. Before her time was up and before they ended up ending her time there with them and she go her separate ways, she had already hired a lawyer because they needed to negotiate her severance pay. It wasn't so much about the fact that she was trying to sue him because she wanted to make a monetary gain. This was not just a cash grab for her. This was something that she was entitled to because she was told that that's what she was going to get. So she hired a lawyer like she was supposed to, and as she was instructed to do by people who worked in HR, in the executive offices of Bad Boy, told her to get a lawyer so that they could negotiate what was going on when it came down to her severance pay, okay? So, and again, that did not come into play until 2017. 2017. Okay, so all this hype and hoopla and rumor about, oh, she had her lawsuit and she wanted $10 million, and that came into play after Cassie had hers, and that's false information. That is inaccurate information. That is not what happened. What happened was this came at the time when she was separating herself from Bad Boy. Now they did bring into play. Let's see where we gonna go with this. One thing that I did notice about Mia is when Mia is speaking to Diddy, it's always positivity. It's always motivational. And it's the same thing that was going on, not only during the time that she wasn't with Bad Boy, but this is what she was doing during the time that she was employed with Bad Boy. So during her tenure there, she was sending positive motivational messages, telling people that she loved them. She told everybody that she loved them, okay? She was always trying to be that ray of sunshine. So now when she leaves and separates herself, this is the behavior. And she says, even when they asked her, why would you do that? She said, this is just what I do. Now, she also does admit to having to tiptoe, walk on eggshells, and she has to basically stroke Diddy's ego. That is what she's showing us, okay? So, Brian Steele, let's get into him. He kept trying to dig and come at Mia, and let me tell you something. Last week, the government was not objecting to every... Okay, can y'all see me now? Jaquan, you got one more. You got one more. All right, so we're back. All right, I don't know what it is that where we cut off at, but now where we were at least where I think we were at, is we're talking about Brian asked why didn't she bring up so there was a text message that came through, and the text message was from Diddy, well, Mia to Diddy, and this was in August 29th of 2020. So she sent him a message saying that life is effing crazy and basically telling him how, it's amazing how life takes you down different places and how, she found out that people really aren't good people. And so she was telling him that she had footage of him that was still on her computer and she could send it to him if he wants to Brian Steele. So Diddy tells her, I love it. I'm glad you're well. Please send all the footage. We're working on the doc. I only remember the good times. This is what Diddy said to her. I only remember the good times. That's what he said. He only remembered the good times. Now, why would he say he only remembered the good times if there weren't any bad times? If none of this stuff that she says went on? Why would you be saying that? Hey, T Love. So Mia says me too. Okay. Um, and basically confirmed, that she was going to hold on to the good memories as well. Now, Brian still asked her, why didn't she bring up how he should remember what he did? Because Me Too was moving strong. Let me tell you something. Brian was bringing Me Too into the fold as if she worked for Me Too or as if she had done some projects or some work with the Me Too movement. Okay, the way he was going in, I couldn't really grasp why he was continually bringing that up. Oh, Me Too was viral around that time. Let me move because I have ADHD. Y'all know that, and I get very easily distracted. And there's someone in front of me doing a cast. There's people everywhere where I'm at, and so we're going to go find us a space and a place all our own because no, honey, this is what we not gonna do. You can hear people are yelling, people are talking loudly. I'm just gonna give y'all my henny, my scoop, my take privately, okay? That's what I'm gonna do. Give it to y'all the way Henny does. So we got us a nice little spot in the shade. May not be the best lighting, but at least we got quiet. Okay, we got some quiet. So let me go ahead and put my stuff down. Especially being that I do not want to be caught in the middle of nothing. All right. So, what were we talking about, y'all? What were we talking about? Hopefully, I can get up here and not bust my Y'all gonna laugh at me if I fall? I'm gonna turn the camera this way. Ah! I can't get up here. Ooh. Oh well, I tried. I'm too little. I can't jump up there. I tried, and there's no big man to pick me up and put me up here either. I don't even see anything that I can like climb on to get up here, and I want to get up here. Hold on, I'm gonna try one more time. No, it's too high for me, so I can't get up here. Dang, that sucks. All right. So now, um, all right, so yeah, so boom. So Brian still starts going in, and that's when he goes in for the kill. As soon as he reads that text message, and he starts asking her about why didn't she tell him that he should remember everything that was done to him because the Me Too movement was strong at that point in time. He kept going into this line of questioning where he kept saying, in 2017, the Me Too movement was already big. In 2020, Me Too had already gone viral. So why didn't you Me Too? He even brought up where her and Cassie had a conversation, and Cassie had already put her case out. He asked her, why didn't you say to Cassie, me too? This line of questioning, let me tell you something. There were so many objections that were being thrown out there. The judge was not here for it. Can you guys see and hear me good? So she began explaining about, okay, so um, she responded about all the good memories that she shared with Diddy and just bad boy as a whole. So Brian was trying to show that she did have memory of good times, but he was trying to hone in on the fact that she was not actually, he was trying to say that she wasn't being truthful as far as what she remembered and what she doesn't remember. And now this is where we come into selective memory, is what I like to call it, but that's not what the actual terminology of it is. The terminology that goes into it, it's basically, well, let me explain it to you. Basically, when somebody suppresses memories within their mind and they're so far back there that it doesn't come out. You want to know what happens a lot of times with people who go through any type of abusive situation, whether it be actually emotionally, domestically. When they go through those types of situations, do you know that a lot of times they don't remember things until they start getting into therapy and start unpacking it? That's when they begin to remember a lot of the details that they've suppressed so far down. And you would be surprised at how traumatic some of the events that they suppress are. Now, let me tell you how amazing the mind is. When something is so severe, the mind splits. And that's how you get people that end up having DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, where they have multiple personalities. So the mind will help you to bury things deep within. So she says that she was bamboozled because she didn't know that she felt like she was bamboozled because she didn't know how shitty people were. And Mia spoke on being bamboozled and basically you know, mind wash, brainwashed. That's what she said. She said that she was brainwashed by Diddy. Now, of course, you know, Brian Steele did not take to that too kindly. And so he was like asking a series of questions. I didn't even write them down, but he was asking a series of questions of her that kept getting objected to. And the judge was sustaining the objections. The judge kept telling him to reword, re-question, find a new question. So he finally comes out and he says, how did she get bamboozled? And that's when I said the brainwashing. And she began to explain about how the highs were high and the lows were low, and how she would work hard. And she explained basically all of the classic things that a person that has been in those types of situations go through, where you're constantly trying to outdo yourself. You're constantly trying to please this person. You're constantly trying to make them happy. And you're trying to make them happy for multiple reasons. And she was trying to keep him happy because she didn't like when he got angry. She didn't like when things went wrong. She's described it as feeling like she did something bad. How old was he? She was 25 years old. So he brings up the Me Too movement. Brian Steele brings up the Me Too movement again. And Mia says, no, Brian brought up the Me Too movement. And he was like, you know, again, the Me Too movement is relevant and it's prevalent at this point in time. And Mia, I don't know if anybody else caught this, but I hope that they did. Mia says a movement Diddy wasn't affected by. Because like I said, it became a Me Too type of back and forth. And she made it very clear. She was talking out of turn. Okay. Brian didn't even ask her a question or nothing. He was in the middle of talking about the Me Too movement. And she said a movement Diddy wasn't affected by. Meaning she never Me Too'd him. Okay. Now, at this point, he brings up how she was aware of the Me Too movement for the 2 years, and he just kept harping on it because the reason why it finally came out is because Mia had mentioned something about the Me Too movement in her direct with the government. So he decided that he was going to keep bringing that up. Mia is actually on the stand now. Mia started testifying Thursday. She testified on Friday, and was it Thursday? Yeah, she started testifying on Thursday. She testified on Friday, and she is still on the stand right now on Monday. Okay. Now, Brian did move into where Diddy sent that message saying that he was going to tell Cassie everything, okay? But the thing is, Brian was twisting the words around as to what exactly it was that she was saying. And Mia checked that real quick and repeated exactly what she said, okay? Or what he said, because he was twisting Diddy's words. And in that moment, you got to see her defend Diddy. So while she is so far removed from the situation, there is still remnants of her time with Diddy that are still showing up and still very prevalent in her mind right now to this day. There is still mental blocks that are in play, okay? All right. So she said she kept saying she never said anything because she felt like she was doing something wrong. She felt like she was telling on him. She felt like she was breaking confidentiality, okay? Brian asked about her moral obligations because she felt like she had a moral obligation to defend Diddy still. So he asked her about her moral obligations in 2017. And the judge sustained and told him to go on to the next question. Like when I tell you there was a lot of objections, a lot of sustains, a lot of it was a lot of rephrase that question that was going on. Brian was not getting very far today. Um, So there came a point in time where Diddy was at an event in her hometown. And so she reached out to him and she was like, oh, hey, I'm sorry that I can't be there. I hope I don't get in trouble for the music. All right. So he asked her about a text message that she sent to Diddy at a time when he was going to do an event because she's from Virginia Beach. So remember when Pharrell did that event out there in Virginia Beach? Well, guess what? He went over, he went out there too. Mia hit him up. Mia was like, thank you for coming out here. It's such a great, isn't the UK fully Islam? I stay on topic, please. I can't. You can't. I can't answer that. But she messaged him and was just like, thanking him for coming to her town, telling him to do an amazing job. She said that she wished that she was there, but it came out later that she said she was lying. She was lying to him. So Brian Steele is like, well, you haven't been working for Diddy in all of this time. Why are you still like, why would you reach out to him? Why would you feel the need to lie to him? And she said, because I felt like he was going to expect me to be there. This is like, so we go back into the Me Too, and Mia says when she saw Diddy, like when she decided to come and speak out, um, she felt like it was like Mia held all of this inside of her. She didn't share this with anyone. She says, and then when she started seeing that people were stepping out and people were holding him accountable, she felt like it was in the media. Now she could speak. What people don't remember is we're talking about back in 2009. People are getting on this stand talking about 2007. We're talking about a time when Bad Boy was at its peak, when people wanted to work there, when everybody would go and run down that door whenever they said that there was some type of internship that was opening up. It to work at Bad Boy, to work at Rockefeller, to work at Def Jam, to work at any of these record labels back in the day, or even work with any of these artists, these up and coming people, was something that put you in a different space, and it was very prevalent at that time. It meant that you had made it, okay? So while people are looking at it from this time frame, they're not going back in time. The reason why a lot of these people were not opening their mouths and saying anything way back when is because it was not acceptable to say things way back then. You open up your mouth, you blow the whistle on somebody, guess what? You're more than likely going to find yourself blackballed, and nobody in the industry is going to work with you. And if it didn't come from the person that you were actually outing, it would be for the simple fact that you were not able to keep your mouth shut and hold the secrets and confidentiality of the people that were around you. So now when we move forward into this day and age and we see people coming out and talking and saying that this happened to me this far ago, this happened to me that far ago, people need to travel back in time to really understand why people were so mum's the word back then. It was not something that was socially acceptable for you to be able to come out and open your mouth about anything that was going on, especially against people who were in positions of power. Okay. Now, Brian, once all of that came out, Brian said, oh, you saw that and you said me too. So the judge said, move on. Okay. Move on, because this was the other thing that was going on in that courtroom. Okay. Brian kept asking the same questions over and over and over again. Even when they would ask him to reword the question, somehow or another, the question still sounded the same. All right. So they brought up the scrapbooks, okay? And they was asking her, Diddy had asked her something about the information that she had in the scrapbooks. And she was saying, listen, I have it on PDF. I have it somewhere around here. I could put it on a drive and send it to you. Brian takes this opportunity to say to her, well, do you have any notes or anything that backs up what was going on back then? Do you have anything? Like, he started putting the burden of evidence on her, the burden of proof on her. And the burden of proof and evidence is not on me. That is not for me to decide. That is for the government to decide. That is something that, like the government had already told Brian Steele on Friday when we were in court, this is a time when you were supposed to wait until closing arguments to say whether or not the government has proven their case. That is not for the witness that is on the stand, the victim that is on the stand to do. That is not for her to say whether or not she has evidence of any of this stuff. But for whatever reason, Judge Arun let that go today and allowed the questioning to come in. That was not the first time and it was not the last time that he was asking her about proof. But I will tell you, he was not getting away with doing that all day today either. All right, so we're talking about the scrapbooking. So on April 25th of 2019, text to Diddy. She thanked Diddy for, we already talked about that. See? So that was in 2019 that Virginia Beach thing happened with Pharrell, right? She said that Diddy, in that message though, when she messaged him, she said that Diddy brought positivity and love everywhere that he goes. But Mia says she lied to him and that she didn't want to see him. And she had never said anything mean or rough to him ever. So this would be out of character for her to come and begin speaking mean and rough to him now. So she didn't, she just kept it as it usually was, motivational, positive, upbeat. She thought she would be expected. I told you she thought she would go, okay, all the messages, this is what Brian Steele says to her. He says, all the messages are positive and loving, okay? And he brings up that no one is forcing her to do this. Now, again, you have to think about the aspect of things. No one is literally putting a to her head, but she's psychologically up. Can we agree on that? So he goes into more messages and more messages and more messages, all right? Now, this is where they end up bringing into play this video, okay? And the video, like I told y'all before, it shows Mia. I don't know if her head is shaved on one side or if it's just pushed back to the side and her hair is big going over. But it's Mia in the video. She's upbeat. She's chipper. She's being positive. And I guess they were trying to say that this was going to show her in a different light. And it was going to show that her demeanor is way different in the video than it would be now on the stand. But what people are not realizing is that are falling for this trick is the fact that you're looking at a video of someone in 2013 versus someone who's sitting before you right now in 2025. Of course, she's going to be different. Of course, her demeanor is going to be different. Of course, she's not going to be the same person. She just stopped working for him in 2017 and had worked for him since 2009. You expect her to still be the same person after everything that she had experienced? Of course, her demeanor is going to change. So to me, it was not a big type of moment. And when we were getting ready to go to a break, a lot of people in the overflow row were like, that's it? Is that it? That's what we were waiting on? And that's how I felt as well, because I really felt like it was a build up to nothing. They built us up to a brick wall because it didn't prove anything to me. All right. So Brian Steele, So Brian Steele is now talking about impeachment, okay? Based on her, Mia, saying that she didn't have time to tell family and friends and wants to move forward with photos or videos of her with family and friends. Now, we had gone on break, all right? Um, oh, let me go back. After this video was shown, immediately after the video was shown, the judge was like, we're going to go take a short break. So we go out on break. I come back in. The government and the prosecution are having a conversation. The government accused Brian Steele of harping on Mia and badgering her, raising his voice at her. And with all the eyes on this case, it will cause victims to not come forward. The judge said that he doesn't agree, but he told Brian to stop asking the same questions over and over again, okay? Brian Steele said that he wants to move for an impeachment based on Mia saying that she didn't have time to tell her family or friends, and he wanted to move forward with photos or videos of her with family and friends, okay? The defense, again, I noted that they're again bringing in exhibits that were not submitted according to the court's rules, okay? They were supposed to have these things submitted last night if they wanted them brought in today for evidence. But somehow or another, the defense keeps finding a way to wiggle around that, and they keep trying to sneak pieces of evidence in first thing in the morning, when we come back from lunch, when we go out on a break. They're trying to submit evidence in, and they're trying to pull fast ones. These are the tricks that they have pulled in those dog and pony shows that they have been putting on in other courtrooms, but that's not going down in this courtroom, okay? So Brian Steele is still trying to press, like, even after the judge said, like, look, you can't have these photos come in. I don't see there being any relevance to them coming in. They're not going to be submitted. So even after he says that, Brian Steele is still pressing, trying to get these photos and images in. And the judge says, they're more of the same, meaning that they were what we had been looking at since Friday. Since Friday, let me tell you what the defense has been doing since Friday and all day today. They have been doing nothing but showing us text message after text message after text message after text message. They've been showing us social media posts going all the way back. They're showing us 2017, 2019, and they're not even giving it to us in chronological order, okay? They're giving it to us sporadically. 1 minute we're looking at a text message from 2013, then boom, we're over here in 2019, then boom, we're over here in 2017, then boom, we fast forward to the future in 2020. There's no chronological order to this. It looks like they just found a bunch of text messages in rush and began to just throw them together as evidence and said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these things up. Now, it would be ignorant, once again, and I said this just like when they tried to bring up the Cassie text messages that were had between her and Diddy, when they were saying the loving things that they were saying about one another, to one another. It would be naive to believe that even in all of the toxicity of that relationship, that there were not good times, okay? It would be very naive to believe those things. Another thing that started happening in the courtroom when we came back from the break is everything that Brian Steele was trying to put out there, the questions he kept trying to ask, the government would say objection, he would keep talking, the judge would say sustained, and he would still keep talking. So at another point in time, after doing that several times, the judge was just like, Uda, Uda, Uda. The judge didn't say Uda. The judge didn't say Uda, but he might say Uda. You never know. The judge was like, hold on. A sustain means to stop. So it's been a lot that has been going on in this courtroom, you guys, today. I don't know what to expect when we come back from lunch. What I do know is me, you're another employee being paid by this monster. Me, I'm being paid. Now I know the world has gone mad. Now I know the world has gone mad. If you're saying that I'm being paid by Diddy, oh, Winston, it's 6 p.m. there. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens when we come back from lunch, you guys. For sure, he's getting paid very good money. He's getting paid very good money. Now, let me tell you what I noticed was going on in the courtroom where I'm at. It's a split. It's very much split because some people feel like the defense is not doing their job. Some people feel like Mia is lying. What I see, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, what I see is Brian Steele doing his job. His job is to defend Diddy by any means necessary. But what's very interesting to see is that it's very few females that are saying that Mia is lying. It's like a handful of females that are saying that Mia is lying in the overflow room where I'm at. Okay? It's a lot of men saying that she's lying. It's a lot of men saying that she's lying. Exactly, Tams. Brian Steele's job is to create reasonable doubt. That's what the defense's job is to do right now. They do not have the burden of proof of evidence of Diddy's innocence or any of that. Their job is to create reasonable doubt. I think what's making people feel like it may be some reasonable doubt in there is the fact that Mia's demeanor is not one that is very common, okay? Um, Mia comes off very timid. She comes off as somebody who and this is what she gives in appearance. This is what she gives in the way that she's speaking, the way that her body language is. Mia comes off as somebody who is a survivor. But because people are not accustomed to seeing this, and because, oh, that was the other thing I didn't even tell y'all. I almost fell over trying to get this out to y'all. Brian Steele straight up and down came out and asked Mia, was she lying? Mia said, I have not and I will not lie in this courtroom. Honey, honey, honey. I'm going to say this to y'all. Again, if this does not open the door for conversation about how defense teams handle people who come in with accusations of DB, DV, SA, grape, if this does not open the door for those types of conversations for changes in defense, I have no idea what will bring reform to that. Now, I also noticed that there are a lot of students that are coming in. I don't know if they're law students. There are a lot of younger people who are coming in here as well. Hey, Tisa girl.
Have you been watching the case?
I'm upstairs.
Come.
Uh-oh.
Antoinine Hart, thank you so much for the super chat. Listen, she said, thanks to Judge Aaron for clocking the insufferable Brian. Thank you, Tisa, for the updates and case analysis. Stay safe. I will. Also, Zora Asta said, love your outfit. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so listen. there's a little bit more I have to tell you, but I want to start giving opinions about people that were actually in the court. Okay, so with no further ado, who do we have here?
Turn my hair. That girl, Henny. Hey,
That
Tisa.
girl, hey girl. So listen, she has been paying attention to what's going on.
Yes.
I want to ask you, because y'all already know I'm sickened by it. What was your opinion? Well, what was your opinion about the way Brian was hammering Mia? What's your takeaway so far?
I felt it was disgusting. I didn't like it. I felt like he went too far. He kept badgering and hammering and going over the same questions over and over again. Even when the judge would say rephrase, he would rephrase very minimally and it would still be the same question. He may remove one word, but it's the same sentence that he was saying. I felt like this should open a door for how defense teams handle people who come in and say that they are victims to things. Because this was very harsh to watch. I left on Friday because it was too much.
I told y'all it was a bloodbath. It really left me feeling disgusted.
Yes.
Now, why don't you explain also, because I'm trying to let everybody know, the questions themselves were very ignorant and condescending.
Yeah.
It'd be like you being like that girl Henny being like, "Is it not true? You're a dumb bitch and nobody likes you." Excuse me, Henny? Is it not true? And then the judge is like, rephrase. Is it not true? Nobody likes you because you're a dumb bitch.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, it was like rephrase. Many people say you're a dumb bitch. I was like, I can't. That's what was happening. The nature of the questions themselves were super, super disgusting.
Yes.
So, okay. And also, do you think it's odd that they are hammering it so hard that I feel like they questioned her longer than they questioned Cassie?
Yes, longer than they questioned Cassie. Harder than they questioned Capricorn Clark.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they even brought Brian Steele for Mia. The way her demeanor and everything is, she gives the body language. She gives the way she's carrying herself. She's always looking down. I don't know what she's fiddling with. Like, yes, her hair. Like what did I tell you? Her hair is like this.
And she looks up. She's like, well, I don't really know this and that. But it's not an act. This is really her. But go on.
And I've noticed that when she's not speaking about the things that Diddy did to her, when she's talking about her relationship with Cassie and stuff, she's very clear when she speaks. She doesn't stutter or stammer. But when she starts speaking about, when they start saying, well, this is the man that actually assaulted you, and da-da-da, and she's like, well, I don't know. I guess,
I feel like she's dealing with a lot of shame.
Yes.
Because once you say, I'm not ashamed of my own teeth, they can say anything and I'll be like, yes, actually that did happen. I was stupid. I was being a dummy, but guess what? No more. So where do you think things, Ma'ams, what's up? So where do you see things going?
Honestly, I think the government is going to come back swinging.
I hope so.
I really have faith in them.
Knuckles and a baseball bat to help them, so go on.
It's some Vaseline, it's some Timberland boots, okay? Because we got to help y'all out here.
Exactly.
Right? But I still, even though there are people that are feeling like, oh, the defense is doing their thing, there are lady jurors. That's what you have to remember. There are 6 female jurors on there. Right? It's 6 lady jurors. This is not going to be palatable for the lady jurors that are on here at all. And not for nothing, these women, from what I'm understanding, they come from Westchester County. That's moolah. They think differently than city folk, okay?
The girls in the jury?
Yes, that's what I was told. Some of them are from Westchester.
With money?
Well, I don't know.
Based off the visuals.
Look, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I heard. Again, they said it. I repeated it, but I can't confirm, okay? Let me just put that out there. But either way, I just feel like this, I agree with the prosecution when the prosecution said to the judge, look, he's badgering her, he's harassing her, he's coming at her hard. Because even at one point in time, he started yelling at her. Like his voice went up and I said, here we go.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes.
Because this is something that I said as soon as I saw Brian Steele was going to be for the defense against Mia, I said, at some point, he's probably going to screw this up because he's going to start going hard at her. And that's going to leave a nasty taste in people's mouths. And I honestly feel like that's going to happen because it was like he's trying to push her to say something, push her to break.
Did you see the end where he was literally trying to say that if Cassie was being abused, how come you didn't say anything?
Yes, that's your sister. Why didn't you say something? Like, the part that was starting to get disgusting for me was the Me Too thing. He kept hammering and harping and Me Too. So when Cassie lawsuit came out, did you call her and tell her Me Too? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, definitely. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you, Tisa.
Follow that girl Henny.
All right. Thank you, Tisa. Y'all already following Tisa. I know, but y'all follow her anyway. Thank you, Tisa. All right, you guys. It was beautiful. Yeah, I love me some Tisa. But that is definitely my take on everything that has gone on in that courtroom. And y'all see, it's not a front, it's not a facade, it's actual factual facts of what I said is going on. And Tisa is up in the main courtroom, and I'm downstairs in the overflow. So that should show you whether you're in the main courtroom or in the overflow room, you're still going to get the tea, but she can see the jury. She can see the jury. That's the difference. Oh, you guys.
I don't know what it's called. Betsy, whatever the car was called. Dukes of Hazzard. And hit Dukes of Hazzard vibes. Got up out of there. Diddy had to get up on his bumper.
Whoa.
And he hitting, you know, in LA, it got mad hills. You hitting potholes, you bumping. So Diddy in a truck like this on Kid Cudi bumper. Kid Cudi in a Porsche, so you know he doing it the right way. That's why he got low on him. Got low on him. Seeing the police went the other way. All that had happened. All that had happened.
Opinions are different than bending the
So we
whole
don't know,
truth,
man.
though.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a
Got
different. When you have people that are sitting there twisting the facts of what's coming out to spin a narrative, that's completely different. But I do agree. Everybody has opinions. Everybody feels the way that they feel, and they're entitled to feel that way. All I say is don't come at me being disrespectful because I don't align with what your opinion is. And my views and opinions are subject to change depending upon the information that becomes available at any point in time. Yes, Diddy was on screen. He's in court every day. He's in court every day. Thank you, Shaniqua. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm sorry. I just have to. Do you mind? Okay, so I've noticed your sign. Okay, I've noticed your sign, and I would like to know what is your sign about?
Would you be just a little more specific, seeing that the
Well,
sign
you
in
said
itself
P. Diddy,
has
P. Gravy,
many layers of
Wake
satire.
Spicy. Is that Mark?
There's many layers of satire in the sign.
Mm-hmm.
So you could start by attempting to presuppose your own interpretation. What do you interpret?
That Diddy is innocent.
What part of it says he's innocent?
Did he gravy?
Did he?
Well, did he is a question, but if you put the gravy onto it, that could become, because gravy usually means good, that could be a good thing. So that's why I was asking, what
You
is
read
it? Because
something before the did he, right?
you have a hashtag before that.
It says P did he.
Oh, P did he?
How come you didn't see the P?
I have no idea.
But you don't pee on people.
No, I don't. I don't. That's why I didn't see the P. And look, the P is there, y'all. And I definitely did not see the P.
Nobody's denying that, right?
No.
You didn't deny it.
No.
She didn't deny
No.
it. It's not a question for anybody.
No.
But I had to bring it to your attention.
You did. You got me. You got me.
I could have made a call to see what was going on. So maybe they dipped out the side and like, maybe they got like Sonic and Tails, snails, and they.
I have to just peek
So
for
right
a second.
now, this is where we going. You know what I'm saying? This is where we going.
Uda, you been outside all morning?
That's fine. All morning waiting for my trees. If I had that, I'd have been better. That's right. I'm on E right now.
Oh.
I'm on Edward Scissorhands right now.
Oh no.
Angel Baez one. When do you guys think Diddy's gonna get? What? I don't know if he's gonna get sentenced. Angel going.
Wow.
Angel, get that
Okay. People still have to. Okay, I already read that. Somehow I scrolled up. A lot of people felt like the judge has no control of his courtroom. We hear the jury signaling, making faces, and even chit-chatting with one another. I'm not sure. That's what I'm hearing as well. From people who are actually in the courtroom. They are saying, excuse me, that
Hello.
I didn't even recognize you with your hair down. How are you, Candor?
I'm all right. And listen, don't get me to starting with how many names I done trying to forget.
But I remembered yours.
And you all, I'll double check you.
That girl, Henny.
That girl, Henny.
Mhm.
I follow you.
You follow me?
Yeah, I got your info the other day. Didn't you give it to me?
I
Did you write it down?
No, I gave you mine, but you ain't give me yours.
Listen, do this now, please. Because I know your name, but I just, yeah, find it. Because it's a new phone. Or call yourself. I don't know. Do anything you need to do. I don't know.
Here.
Look, watch. I swear to God. Am I not subscribed already?
No.
Get out of here. I know I meant to charge it to my mind and not my heart.
It's okay. All right. It's the same thing on my Instagram. That girl Henny reviews. You'll find me. But yeah. So you been upstairs?
Nah, I just got here. Byron left his tripod out here. I'm waiting for him to come get it because he left it. Here he is. And not just clothes.
Okay. That's Candor, y'all. Y'all know her. Y'all seen her everywhere. I'm just outside right now. What I will tell you is it's very empty out here. It is not like how it was before, where there were a billion trillion people and the sidewalk was packed and jammed. It's nothing like that now. And you know why that is? Because they don't see any big names coming into the court. So a lot of people have already backed out. But what they don't realize is this type of stuff right here that you're going to need in order to have the full story. That's why I'm going to be upset when I go back home. You smoking for him? Do Diddy look nervous or scared or old on the screen? He does not look old. He does not look nervous. He actually looks calm. And I said it in that manner because that's the way that everybody has described his temperament. When they ask him, oh, after he was yelling, screaming, and acting crazy, what was his demeanor? Calm. So he looks calm, you guys. There we go. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Who smokes? You said she definitely smokes. Who smokes? I heard that certain jurors like Steele. A lot of people like Brian Steele. Okay, you got to remember, Brian Steele is the lawyer that got Thugga off. So a lot of people love Brian Steele. I just don't think that he's a good defense attorney for when it comes down to SADV. I don't think he has the temperament for that. I'm actually surprised that they didn't put Garagos on her. I'm surprised. Because I would have thought that Garagos, Team Garagos would have been the one that they would have used in order to cross-examine Mia, especially given her temperament. They do want mess. I don't know if he's pretending to be calm or not, but they did hint at appeal. Now, that's what I didn't give y'all. When Brian Steele was trying to get photos and videos, which were like reels from Instagram, pictures from her social media, when they were trying to get those things submitted into evidence, and the judge was like, no, he was saying, could he submit them for the record? So the judge was like, basically like, absolutely not. And he was like, well, he wanted to put them in just in case, they appeal. So they're already showing their hand that if they lose this case, they're going to appeal it. Thank you so much, Austin Powers. I love you doing this, honey. But thank you. Court is back in session. I just left Tisatella because she went back. Actually, she's right there. I mean, we should be heading back up. Right. They've already started. Plan A was the mistrial. Plan B is the pardon. Plan C is the appeal. The ones who took took the stand, probably nervous looking at him more. Well, actually, I haven't noticed them looking at him. Like, especially Mia. Mia's not really looking at nobody. Like I told y'all, she's keeping her head down and, she's fiddling with things and she's not looking at him. Capricorn Clark only looked at him to identify him. I think that's the only time, like when people were asked to identify him in the court, that's when they looked at him. Other than that, I don't really see him looking at them. Them looking at him, but he is watching them. My thing is, I have a question that I want to ask everybody a little later on tonight, because I'm wondering what this is feeling like for them, like what it's like to actually go and sit in the courtroom and actually face him. No, she didn't want to be there. That's more AI stuff. Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, Will Smith have not testified. Okay. If they would have testified, that would have made it on all of the major news outlets as well as the blogs. But they have not testified. And you guys have to be very careful with this AI stuff, because they have AI now that sounds exactly like people that will fool you into believing not only does it look like them, it sounds like them. It's very, very eerie. You got to be careful. Just like I was talking to y'all earlier today, and I was telling y'all that Sammy the Bull Gravano did a video on Diddy, but the videos that he was showing everybody, those were AI videos. I told y'all this morning, Diddy has never said anything, or Cassie has never said anything about Diddy telling her that, he wanted to do anything with his daughters. Janice Combs has not done any of the egregious things that person was saying in their lives. Like, it was very disgusting, some of the stuff. Kid Cudi did not start wearing a dress because that was a stipulation that Diddy told him that he had to wear a dress. He had to leave Cassie alone and start wearing dresses. That is not what happened, you guys. Like, it's getting very wild. And even be careful of some of the people that are out here telling you that they're at the courthouse. Some of them aren't even at the courthouse. I can tell you who's here because we're all sitting basically in the same spaces. Either we're sitting in the overflow rooms together, or we're all out here in this courtyard at some point in time together. So if they're not here, I can tell you they're not here. Okay. And then there are people that are here that are spinning narratives. Some people I feel like have been infiltrated. I'll go into that another day, another time. I don't want to go into that right now. But I feel like there's a lot of people that have been infiltrated who came with one thought and now they have a different thought after speaking to certain people. How are you allowed in the courtroom? What do you mean? If I get here early enough, I could get in the courtroom. I could get in the main courtroom. I just got to be here early. Anybody can get to the courtroom. If you get here early enough, you can get in the main courtroom. But like I've told y'all before, I like the overflow room, because the overflow room, we're able to react when they have their sidebars. We're able to have conversations. When they take a break, we can sit and we can have a conversation right there in the courtroom without leaving. We can lean over and whisper to each other, what did that person say if you didn't catch it, or what was that date? And we're not really getting into trouble as you would in the main courtroom. So I feel like it's a little more lenient down there, but you are missing key elements. Like, you're not actually seeing Diddy in real time. You're not actually seeing the family. I mean, you can see the family on the screen, because they're usually sitting not right behind him, but like 2 rows behind him, and you'll see his mom. You might see a couple of the kids sitting on screen with you know, you see Diddy. And the way that the courtroom is set up, you have the government is in the first row of seats, then you have the defense in the back row of seats, and then it starts becoming the courtroom. So we don't see the judge on camera. We see the witness on camera, and we see where the attorneys and where the defendant is and the defense team. We see all of that. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Wars. Peace. Much love to you. Thank you. 100, and I'm one of them, even admitting Puffy is recognizing and nodding to him now, shaking my head. What I will also say is he was passing notes. I did see him passing notes. Now, just because I'm in the overflow room doesn't mean that I'm not watching him and seeing how he's responding, what he's actually doing, because the camera is facing him. So you can see him. But it's just, I'm getting ready to go back upstairs, you guys. Everyone is heading up now. I'm getting ready to go back up because I don't want to miss this next portion of cross-examination. I do believe Tisa, but 2 more calm and informative things. Thank you, D. I love Tisa as well. I really do. I love Tisa. So I don't want to miss the cross-examination. I'm hoping that at some point in time, the government does a redirect and they are able to like come back, because I feel like watching the way that they're handling Mia, I really do feel like other people are not going to want to come forward. And again, I've said this before, and this is the last thing that I'm going to say. I'm surprised that they put Brian Steele on Mia. I really do feel like they should have put Teeny Garagos on Mia. That would have been a whole lot more palatable. But this is where we are. This is what they're doing. They already have tried twice for a mistrial. They have already alluded to the fact that there will be an appeal. So then there's that. And then, of course, we have the whole thing about Diddy possibly being pardoned. Who knows? He has to be convicted in order to be pardoned, you guys. And I don't know if Trump is going to do it or not, but we're just going to wait and see what happens. But anyway, remember that love is always love, y'all. Thank y'all for stopping in, tapping in, and tuning in. If you're not subscribed and you're new here, please be sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see y'all in the next one when court is done. Peace, everybody. Thank you for stopping in.